here is our lovely Diane Bell. So Diane is a true victim to victor success story. She's an award-winning screenwriter, filmmaker who overcame self-doubt and fear early in her creative career to write and sell her first screenplay, eventually winning the prestigious Sundance Film Festival Award. But her transformation didn't stop there. After decades of struggling with under-earning and undervaluing herself, Diane made a powerful shift by healing her money mindset. At the age of 46, she launched an online business that quickly scaled to multiple six figures. Now she's leading the Millionaire Creatrix movement, empowering female artists, creatives, and visionaries to break through their financial limitations and create lives of abundance and purpose. Diane is here sharing her inspiring journey and offers insights into overcoming limiting beliefs, healing your relationship with money, and achieving creative and financial success. So welcome, Diane.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me. That was the most amazing introduction. I'm like, you should write all my introductions. I loved it.
I absolutely love. Honestly, I just think, yeah, from what I know about you, you're just an amazing soul and, an absolute winner. Wow. So let's talk about you and your life journey. So what led you into becoming this amazing being that you are today?
Well, let's just start with this. I didn't come out like this. Incorrect. I did come out like this, but then I quickly learned all the reasons that I couldn't live my dreams. And I think we all come out of the womb actually just ready to receive abundance, ready to live our dreams, like ready for it all. And then we slowly get conditioned into why we're not worthy of it, why it's for other people, why it's not wise for us to even go after our dreams. And to be honest, when I was a young woman, that was completely me. I didn't grow up in a family in which I was told, you can do anything, anything's possible, go for it, your sky's not even the limit. I grew up very much in a family that was, don't wish for too much and you'll never be disappointed. Right? Like you love books. Don't think about being a writer. You'll never make money at that, but you could be a librarian. That was totally the context of how I grew up. And I love my family. I'm so grateful for my family and the love that they've given me. But there was really like big limitations put on what you could expect out of life and why it's better to play a safe game and a small game than really go after what you want.
Wow, sounds so familiar. And I know it's a cultural thing that as well. So was it a
Yes.
cultural thing for you as well?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm from Scotland. You wouldn't know from my accent, but both my parents are actually like really from working class Scottish backgrounds from Edinburgh. I was born in Dumfries, Scotland, and when I was 6 years old, we moved to Japan, which sounds like, crazy and fancy people are like, was your dad in the military or something? And he actually worked for a rubber company. So it was like with cars, and he was working for this rubber company. He was a scientist, at that point. He had started on the factory floor though. So as I said, like total like working class Scottish background. So culturally, that was where I was coming from. My parents got married when my dad was 21 and my mom was 17, because my mom was having a baby. So, like they were, they came up from a very small world, but then we moved to Japan. And I lived in Japan until I was 12. And then we moved to Australia and then to Germany. I went to high school in Germany. And then I went back to Scotland to go to university. But for me, like I was absolutely, even though there was like on one hand, the horizons were widened. And I think that's what really has allowed me in many ways to see a bigger picture and go after things. But my parents and my family were very much in that Scottish culture of like, don't wish for too much and we should just be lucky for what we've got. And if you've got enough to keep the wolves from the door, that's plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, oh wow, it just sounds so familiar and just kind of, minimizing, what we were capable of achieving. And I guess, that's what we then condition ourselves to believe. So what happened
So
then? How did you manage to overcome such self-doubt and fear to actually pursue the life of your dreams?
when I was in my early 20s, I was really depressed. I was really not in a good place. And I think from my late teens into my early 20s, I really got into cycles of binge drinking and going out and partying. I was very lonely when I look back on it. And that was a way to connect with other people. And I really thought by the time I was about 24, I think I felt pretty clear that I'd kind of messed up my life, which sounds ridiculous because, of course, from my hindsight now, from this perspective now, it's like, my gosh, you were just getting started. But at the age of 24, I felt like, oh my gosh, like everyone knows what they're doing, everyone's getting it sorted, and I'm just a mess. I'm working in a sandwich shop and I'm out partying every weekend, and life didn't seem to be going anywhere. And it was at that time, though, that I discovered yoga. And I would honestly say that yoga changed my life and brought everything good into it. Because I went into a yoga class and somehow I immediately knew this was for me. And this was despite the fact that when I did that first yoga class, I was really stiff. Like in my body, I was not a flexible human being. And one of the stories that I had grown up with from childhood was, "You're stiff." My mother used to say it to me all the time. She's like, "You're stiff like me." And other little girls were really bendy and could do the splits and cartwheels and whatnot, and I could never do any of it. Like, I'm stiff. Like, this is who I am, just like my mom. This is like who we are. It's who we are in our bones and in our bodies.
Mm.
So I went into that first yoga class. Now, at that point, I'd been drawn to meditation. I was always a truth seeker. I studied philosophy at university. That was always interesting to me. The meditation always felt hard. I couldn't get out of my head. But when I went to yoga, it was like, oh my gosh, for 1 hour, like I was in the zone. All I was doing was thinking, how do I breathe? Like, how can I stay with my breath? Because it was so hard because I'm so not flexible. So the most simple positions were torture. But I came out and I was like, that was like pure meditation. I did not think for an hour. This was incredible to me. So I
Mm.
immediately started going all the time. And my teacher at the time was very kind. He said, "Diane, if you want to come in and practice in the mornings with me, you can come in and practice. Like I practice at 6 o'clock every morning, you can come in." And I just went, right, I'm gonna do that. Because I couldn't afford to go to classes every day, obviously. I was, as I said, working in a sandwich shop at the time. So I started going into yoga every morning. And first of all, it changed my life because I started not wanting to be up late at night because I wanted to go to the yoga in the morning. That mattered to me. But the second thing was, very soon my body started to change. And I
Mm.
remember it was after only about 6 months that I was like able to do the splits, which sounds insane, right? But it was like my body has completely transformed. I'm not stiff. Suddenly I was in the yoga class. I'm like, I'm actually not the stiffest person in here by a long stretch.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've changed. It's like all my life, I believed I was stiff. Like, this is something I am. This is part of my identity, who I am, something that I cannot change, something I was born with, that is intrinsic to my very essence. And I was like, wait a second. If that is not true of me, if I am not stiff in this sort of way, like it actually only took 6 months of dedicated practice to change that, then
Brilliant.
what else am I telling myself that is not true? What else is part of my story and part of my identity that could actually be changed if I applied myself to it? And the kind of yoga that I was doing, there was a guru of this yoga, Patabi Joyce. It was Ashtanga yoga. And he would say all the time, do your practice and all is coming. And I
Mm.
really started to fixate on that. Do your practice and all is coming. Like whatever it is that you want to do, if you do the practice, you're going to break through, you're going to change it. And I
Wow.
could see that physically. I mean, actually having that physical proof through the practice of yoga was just a game changer to me. And I think that was the first thing that started to really change my life, because I was like, okay, if I could change that, which seemed like an immutable truth, like it's written in stone, Diana's stiff. If that is not true, then everything's up for grabs, basically. And what other stories am I telling myself that I could actually change if I applied myself?
Interesting. You sort of like started a bit of a momentum there then. So you went from one thing to another, just challenging yourself into different areas. So what else did you start to realize about yourself?
Well, so at that point, I started, like, I was obsessed with the yoga, and very soon I started to be teaching yoga, and that just led me to deeper confidence in myself, in my body, and obviously to a healthier way of living, shifting out of those unhealthy patterns of binge drinking and partying all the time, and starting to live in a way that supported actually clear thinking and a better way of being in the world. And I started teaching the yoga. Now, in my heart, I always wanted to write. That was always like the biggest dream, and like ever since I was a little girl. And one of the things I was really obsessed with in my 20s was movies. I was a complete cinephile. I lived in the cinema from the
Wow.
age of about 17. Like the cinema was my church. I was there all
Yeah.
the time. And I had this idea for a movie that I just knew it would be a great movie, but I was like, how would I write this? You know, and who am I to write this? And how could I write this? Because even if I did write this, like, what would I do with it? I'm a Scottish yoga teacher. Like, I have no, like, at this point, I have no idea what I would do. And it took a while for me to get to the point where I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to write this. And that was terrifying because all these fears, and again, it's this identity. Who are you to think you could do something like that? You think you could write something good? What do you think? You're not that special. You're no good. You can't, all of this noise in my head.
Mm.
So I started, first of all, to work with those inner dialogues, and I started to work with an affirmation. And the affirmation that I created for myself was, I am a talented and prolific screenwriter. And I started to write that every day. I like wrote it in my journal every day, and I would write it like 20 times out. I would say it out loud. And to be honest, the minute I would say it would come all these reasons as to why I wasn't, like, no, you're not talented, you're crap, you're rubbish, you've never written a good sentence in your life, you're terrible, you're never going to write anything good, prolific, you can't finish anything, you've never finished a damn thing. But what I would do is I would allow those voices to come up. I wouldn't hide from them. So I would write, I'm a talented, prolific screenwriter. And then I would write, no, you're not, you're terrible, you're this and that. And then I would look at those things and think, are they really true? Is it really true? Like, maybe I can be talented. Maybe I am talented. Maybe if I keep practicing. I didn't become flexible in yoga by thinking about it, by dreaming about it, by wishing for it. I became flexible by showing up to the mat every single day.
Wow, I love that. Yes, it is. It's persistence. And so, what advice, just based on your own experience, would you give to others out there who are still held back by fear of failure, rejection?
So if you want to do something, but you're still feeling some sort of fear that, like, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't? I just say, start it anyway. And
Mm.
the goal here is not to get rid of those voices, right? The
Yeah,
goal is we get to have those voices and do the darn thing anyway,
yeah,
right? I didn't start out doing my yoga practice going, I am flexible, and having immediate proof of it. I had to show up to the mat and be inflexible every day for months before I started to feel flexible.
mm,
As a writer, like, I didn't start saying I'm a talented and prolific screenwriter and immediately get proof that that was true. I
yeah,
was willing, though, just to go, okay, what if it could be true? And that's all we have to do at the beginning, is say, okay, I have this fear. And I really recommend giving voice to your fears. Do not hide from your fears. Your fears will keep you stuck. I think of them as being like the monster under the bed. And if you're a little kid and you think there's a monster under your bed, you're like, I'm not even going to stick a foot out the edge of the bed because the monster might grab me. So you're stuck, right? You're terrified because you're like, the monster might get me. And somebody telling you your monster's not real, it doesn't help. Like, you really are afraid of that.
yeah.
But if you can bring in the courage to actually look under the bed, you
Mm,
realize for yourself it's not there. You're like, okay, let me just look. And so I always go, look at what's under your bed. Like, name your fears, pull them out. Do not let them have power over you in this way that you're trying to hide them, push them in the cupboard, and be like, I'm just gonna ignore my fears and get on with things. Like, get them out. What's the worst thing? Like, what's the worst thing? The worst thing is I write a screenplay and it's absolutely terrible. The worst thing is I write a screenplay and I don't even finish it. The worst thing is I write it and I never sell it. The worst thing, like, what's the worst thing? What am I absolutely terrified of? And
exactly.
now, can I hold that?
Mm,
Right. And that's always the question for me as I continue in life. I'm like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? And if that worst thing happened, could I hold it? Can I handle that?
true.
And
Yeah.
what I've discovered is, like, actually, yeah, I'm like, most things is like, yeah, like, no one's gonna die. Like, if I write a terrible screenplay and it's awful and I absolutely suck at it, no one's gonna die. I'm still gonna be alive. So now what? So now I don't have this fear so much. Like, that fear is not going to keep me stuck. And
Mm,
that's really the goal, is like, you don't have to get rid of the fear, but you've got to take action with the fear, in spite
yeah.
of the fear.
Wow. And so your movies and your screenplays, what is it that you enjoy writing these days?
So for me, always writing is just the things that I'm obsessed with, I think. I can't even explain, there's no logic to it. Creativity is just something, I feel like you open the channel and something comes through. And who knows why that thing chooses to be birthed through you,
Mm.
but it's what comes through you. The films that I've made, I wrote and directed 3 different movies, and I would say all of them, the common thread is things that really disturb me in the world or upset me or concern me in some way. it's writing a script and making a film about it is might be my way of processing it, of going, okay, there's this terrible thing, like, let me like explore it through a script and find some sort of catharsis for myself. You know, that would be the common thread. I mean, now I feel like my creativity, just to be clear, I haven't written anything recently, screenplay wise. I'm completely besotted with creating programs, and I'm writing a book, and it's really around that, because I'm just feeling so full of this purpose of helping people break through what's holding them back and really live their dream lives.
Wow, absolutely. And that was going to be the next topic, is about the Millionaire Creatrix movement. Wow, tell us about that. I just love that title, to be honest.
Oh, thank you. Well, this word creatrix came a couple years ago into my life, and it made such an impact on me because at the time I was really exploring what it is to be a female artist in particular in this world. And that was because, like, over my 6 years, 6 years, 8 years, around that, of teaching screenwriting and filmmaking, most of my students have been women. Not all, not 100%, but I would say a good 80, 85% have been women. So I have worked with hundreds of creative women at this point. And I've seen a lot of the same patterns, a lot of the things that we deal with. Now, this question of sort of like confidence and, you know, like believing in ourselves, I think is compounded if we're a woman. Like the doubt and the fear that we have is compounded. And I think there's very real reasons for that that go beyond just our own societal conditioning. Yes, there's how you were brought up in this world and what you were conditioned with, but also epigenetics has shown us that we are imprinted from our ancestors. Now, the women who came before us, they had very difficult lives where they were not free to express who they were. They were not free to create their dream lives. They were not free to make money. They were not free to do a lot of things. And the trauma that so many of them experienced has been passed on. It's in us. And so sometimes, like so many women I know, it's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I really want to do this, but I feel blocked. I really want to do this, but something is stopping me. I really want it. And I'm like, hey, you know what? It might be bigger than you. So a couple of years ago, I started teaching something called the Creatrix Codes, which is specifically for creative women to really address these wounds and these things that hold us back as female creatives. You know, and a creatrix for me is a woman who creates. And I believe that is who we are. That's our essence. That's our nature. You know, like we are, every human body on this planet came from the womb of a woman. And we are the creatrix. We are the ones who create. So to me, it's like, how do we claim this identity as creatrix, but then take it the next step where it's like, let's not just create, but let's be abundantly supported as creatrixes. So this is Millionaire Creatrix. This is the next evolution. This is how we claim our power as women who create, so that we create what we were born to create, what's in our soul's destiny to create, but also shed all the conditioning that says that we shouldn't get paid abundantly for it. And that's just a huge piece of the puzzle, because what I see everywhere is female artists and creatives under-earning, undervaluing their work, self-sabotaging in so many different ways because of this conditioning. So this is my passion. We've just opened the Millionaire Creatrix Collective for women who are ready to claim millions through doing their soul's work. And I'm so excited about it.
That is spectacular. Oh my goodness. Because, from working in a sandwich shop to where you are today, that's a huge shift. And what is it like? What does that success look like to you?
You know, I think the biggest thing, and I'll always say this about anyone going after their dreams, at the end of the day, it's not about the fulfillment of the dreams. And this sounds so cliched in a way, but it is really the truth. It's not about getting the dream or achieving the dream. It's about who you become in the process.
Love that. Yeah.
And it really is for me, like, I know, like, I look back at myself then and I just see all this, like, weighed down with fear, with worry, this density of feeling like I wasn't enough, feeling like, you know, I was like something was wrong with me, like I had to fix things about myself. And to me, the biggest gift of creating any success in your life and actually going after your dreams is becoming the person who you're always meant to be, becoming the person that you were born as, becoming this person who is light and free from all the bullshit that has held you back. And, you know, that's it. And I say to people all the time in my world, I'm like, sure, having a nice bank account, great. right? Living in a house you love, great. Having freedom, you know, to go on holiday with your family, all these things, fantastic. Make the movie so it's got impact, win awards, stand on stage and get an award. It's amazing. But you know what's better? Like looking in the mirror and thinking, you know, I did this,
Yeah.
right? And you know, and what's next? And game on, and life is great. And that's the biggest thing. That's what it's all about.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, so true because, I've been through it and I'm sure many have, when you've had more money than sense and when you've had a lot of money without even developing yourself, because then when you have that money, you just don't even feel deserving of it, because you're still struggling. So I guess it's probably a similar pattern to everyone is you'll try and get rid of that money so that you don't need to actually hold on to it because it does I feel like it brings a lot of discomfort, doesn't it, when you don't know what to do with it or how to even believe that you have that. So I think it's all about your mindset towards
It
money.
totally is. Well, what you've just described there, I mean, that's that thing that when your identity shift, when your external results shift, and suddenly you're living a reality that, you know, you weren't really programmed for or conditioned for, you'll typically, your subconscious will go crazy, you know, and it's just like not comfortable. It's like, don't want this. I mean, that is why 75% of lottery winners are back to
Yeah.
how much they had before they won the lottery within 3 years, which is quite unbelievable when you think, I mean, we're talking about lottery winners winning, you know, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. They're back to where they started 3 years later. Why? Because their subconscious programming was not there to hold that other frequency of wealth. And
Mm.
so it really, you know, every stage it is about you, but it's about, you know, this expansion and this growth. Like, I just feel as human beings, we are here to grow and evolve. We're not here to stay the same. We're not here to be victims to our wounds, to our traumas, to those that we inherited from generations before. We are here to evolve. We are here to transform. And
Yeah.
that to me is just like exciting. It's like if you're not growing, you're dying, you know?
I-
So like let's go, you know, let's grow. Let's discover what's possible for us. And it's not about getting more stuff or having more or doing more, achieving more. It's really not, but it's about that growth, that inner growth, because that to me is like everything.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It is. Yeah. And so, what are the main mindset blocks that you're still seeing till this day with
In
women?
myself or in other people.
Both. Both.
So I recently shared about this, that what was really interesting is in the last few years, I created some massive shifts in my own life. I mean, unbelievable. So when I was 46 years old, which is just 6 years ago, I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, I'm turning 52 this year, so it was like 46.
Wow.
So
Go
when I
you.
turned 46, you know, I had a look in the mirror and I'd created a lot of success and changed a lot of things in my life. But I had that moment where I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't like what I see and I don't like where this is going.
Mm.
And at the time, I was really financially broke. I had been under earning for years, and I had all that conditioning as an artist. Oh, artists, real artists don't care about money. Spiritual people don't care about money. All of that, right? Like, I'm just here for the creativity and I'm here for the freedom, but I don't want anything to do with money, which I think a lot of women have that programming too, not just artists and spiritual people, but women. And so I looked in the mirror and I was like, I was like financially broke and I was hungover and I didn't look great, didn't feel great, all those things. And I really had this moment where I said, you know what? I need to change this. And I just said it then, I was like, by the time I turn 50, I'm going to be happier, healthier, wealthier, and wiser than I've ever been in my life. Game on, let's go. And that day I stopped drinking alcohol. Like I initially stopped. I was going to just stop for 3 months. It's nearly 6 years and I haven't gone back because I was just like, within 3 months, I said, I just feel so much better. I feel so much everything. And I just went all in to actually create changes. Now, what was interesting was within a couple of years, I'd completely transformed my situation. Within 18 months, I had a business that was making over $20,000 a month, right?
Wow.
Within 18 months. And that's like that. It's like talking about doing the splits, right? And it's like 6 months later. And it's that thing. You apply yourself. Like if you really decide in your soul that you are changing something and you go all in, like you're like, I'm not available for anything else. I'm going all in. Like I'm going to go in at 6 o'clock every morning, right? I'm gonna do the mindset work. I'm gonna do all the things that make me really uncomfortable, but I'm gonna do them because I believe that I can make this change. So I changed so much. When I started that journey, I was like, as concerns finances, I thought if I could make 10K a month, I'd be over the moon. And that was like, I was always like 10K a month, 10K a month. Well, as I say, before I knew, I was making 20K a month, 30K a month. And this, like, just what you were saying, it kind of shocked me, right? And it kind of rattled me. And I also had this dream of moving to Spain, right? With the time we were living in Denver, Colorado, and it was like, I want to move back to Spain. And this was on my vision board, and I'm like, make it happen. Whole bunch of things happened. Long story short, moved to Spain, buy a dream house. Like, it completely changed my financial situation, everything. And then I got here and it was like, what is happening? And my whole soul just felt like it contracted. And it was really fascinating to observe. It was like, who even am I? Do I deserve this much? What am I doing? Like, what's next? Like, like, this is already so much more than I could have ever imagined. Like, I can't even believe that I'm here and living that. Like, how? Like, what? What now? And it was really fascinating because what I see as the blocks is we play such smaller games than we're really able to. And, whatever your dream is today, I would just invite you to go, how do I 10x that dream? And you might think, that's just insanity. Like, even just get my dream would be amazing. But I think what you've got to do, you're going to get your dream. If you're listening to this and you have a dream, like, you're going to make your dream come true. If you go all in, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. Your dreams are meant for you. And if you are like, this is my dream and I want to make it happen, and you really go all in, not like half-baked, you will make it happen. But what you want to know is what comes after the dream. And it's so important to have a dream beyond the dream. So I see one of the blocks is, yeah, we dream too small and we make the dream happen. And then we go into panic mode because we're like, we were good in the identity of going after the dream, but receiving the dream is a whole other thing. And then imagining that there's something beyond that, like, we stop growing. We stop growing. It's like, okay, I'm fine here. If I can just hold on to it, the fear kicks in, and fear is always going to cap us and it's always going to pull us back. So those are the blocks that I'm personally, like, shifting and working through at the moment. And that was sort of the birth of Millionaire Creatrix, because I suddenly went, why am I settling for multi-six figures? Why am I not dreaming a bigger dream? Why am I not dreaming of millions? Like, what made me think that that was, like, that's it? And it's, oh, well, I don't want to be greedy. I don't need millions. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. And I realized, wait a second, this is not about millions. This is about your growth and evolution.
It is.
Right? Like, this is not about, I need more. I don't need more. I'm perfectly fine. I'm great where I am. But is this the limit? And I want you to imagine for a moment that when you go after your dreams, like, what ends up happening is you give more and more value to other people. You impact more and more lives. That's an inevitable thing that happens when you go after your dreams. And is it really like, are you just here to impact that number of people, like a small number? And the money is the money, but really it also reflects how many lives you're impacting.
Wow, it is.
So I just go for all of us, dream bigger dreams and become good receivers of the dreams that you do make come true, because you deserve them, you're worthy of them, and it's your time.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Wow. You just, yeah, everything you just said there, I resonate with 100%.
Yeah.
Because you're right, we do, we've been grown up to live in fear. And you're right, we achieve something and then the fear kicks in because we get scared that we're going to lose it, because a lot of us live in, scarcity mindset. So, and so what is it? So what would you recommend people to start to pursue now, or to implement in their daily lives now, to try and minimize? Well, okay, to acknowledge the fear first of all, we know that.
Acknowledge the fear.
Yeah, but I feel like we all need a practice. Obviously, yours was yoga. Are there any others that you'd recommend?
Yeah, there's a few things that I would definitely recommend if you're, when you commit to this path. Something that might surprise most people is connected to yoga. I just think move your body every day, move your energy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, being in your physical body, we're in physical bodies, getting too stagnant in our energy doesn't help us. And I say to all my students, all my clients, I'm like, it's so important that you get yourself into a good energetic state as you're going after your dreams, and really prioritize that. And it's something that can be really easy to let it go off your calendar, or let it go slip, because it's like, I got so many things to do, right? I'm going after some big dreams. I got a lot of shit, there's a big to-do list here, right? Like, I don't have time to go to the gym or to my yoga class or whatever, right? I'm like, no, you don't have time not to. Like, that's just like absolutely essential. So making a daily practice of some sort of physical movement, whatever that is, walking, whatever. The other thing is just nourishing your soul, doing the things that make you feel alive. Right. And this actually, for me, gets into the core of like the creatrix movement is, what your soul craves is being alive, is the experience of being alive. And if it's not making you feel alive, it's probably not for you. Like you're probably putting yourself into a box that you don't belong in. If you're not like absolutely in love with the work that you're creating, you're not doing the work that you're born to do. And so it's really like let yourself be guided. It sounds it's like follow your bliss, but it really is follow your bliss. Like what makes you light up inside. And I always go, that's the universe talking to you. That source, goddess, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, saying to you, that's the thing for you, where you're like, ding, 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 ding. I love this. It makes me so excited. Right. That's the universe going, you're on the right path, love. And then you're like, that feels too good. So I just feel like, like really prioritizing feeling good and doing the things that let you feel good is one of the keys to dismantling the fear and overcoming the fear and staying in the good vibes.
Oh, beautiful that, yeah. So how can my listeners connect with you, join your movement?
So the best place is Instagram. I'm on Instagram basically every day. And I have 2 Instagram accounts. If you are interested in the screenwriting, filmmaking side of things, I have at shootfromtheheart1.com or at Shoot from the Heart 1 on Instagram. And that's my Shoot from the Heart account and Shoot from the Heart was a book that I wrote about making an indie film. So Shoot from the Heart 1, and you will get daily inspiration on writing films and making films. And it's really a lot of fun there. The other account that I have is a newer one. It's at I am Diane Bell. So DIANEBELL. And that's the place where it's like me. And it's not screenwriting, filmmaking focus at all. It's women who want to live abundant creative lives and make bank doing so. Come on down. That's where we party. So at I am Diane Bell. That's where that goes on.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And again, even your books and your films, like, do you have more details on your Instagram about them?
The best place really is like just go to my website, dianebell.com. There's definitely links to the films that I've made there and also to my book, Shoot from the Heart.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Diane. Wow, it's been such an inspiring talk. Wow. And you're just a natural, aren't you? You're this is your purpose. I just feel like, you were made to be doing this, to be helping other creatives to, become the best that they can be. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been an absolute honor. So thank you so much, listeners, as well, for tuning in. And again, Diane's been fantastic. Please do connect with her. I'll be leaving all the links in the description of this episode. And I shall see you all next time. Stay blessed, my friends.